Katlego Moagi of Citizen Concerned, welcome to Power Plays and Paydays here on EBNet Stream.
Thank you so much, Leon. Thanks for the invitation.
I am a very large fan of yours. I can even prove it to you by showing you your T-shirts. Absolutely wonderful T-shirts. My kids have got as well. Katlego, I began watching your show probably, I don't know, a couple of months ago already. And I found the topics and the way in which you facilitate discussion on your show to be quite enlightening. And this is from someone that's been in the formal call it workplace his entire career and has held positions where I've been fortunate enough to have access to information. I think that the job that you've been doing to help, and I don't want to be condescending in saying this, but to help educate all of us in South Africa to better understand certain, call it policies, principles, things that are going on is invaluable, because it will help us all become better citizens and better voters for the future. So I'd like to chat to you a little bit about that and understand where that inspiration comes from. But before we get to that, I often get my viewers asking, Leon, why are you doing a podcast on the politics of South Africa? What's the relevance of that to retirement and retirement fund members? And I just want to quickly address that, because I think at the end of the day, you can't ignore the one in favor of the other. The two go hand in glove at the end of the day. So right now, members of retirement funds are achieving fantastic returns from the stock markets. So from a delivery of capital for them at retirement, all is dandy. Everyone's quite happy in that regard. But if they retire into an environment where there's high crime, or they're having to pay for private security or private medical and so on, it just means that their cost of living in retirement is all that higher. So you can't just cater for the asset side and not the liability side. At the same time, in South Africa, unemployment rates are so high that most people do not have a formal retirement or retirement fund. So they're reliant on other support systems when they ultimately get to retirement, like family, kids looking after them and so on. Yet in South Africa, because the growth rates have been so low, a lot more two-parent families are having to look for jobs, and the birth rates are starting to drop. So it's not just about the picture today, it's about the picture in 40 years from now, those 20, 25-year-olds that are in pension funds or looking for jobs or coming out of university that we also need to think about. And that's why I think that this series is critically important for all retirement fund fiduciaries to think about, to make themselves aware about, and also to allocate capital to help compensate perhaps where there are gaps elsewhere that we are facing. So on that note, I believe open dialogue and that having educated voters is critical. I have a funny feeling you see things in the same way. So can, at this point, you explain to me, why did you start Citizen Concerned, and why have you approached Citizen Concerned in the manner in which you have?
Okay, so like many people, I used to watch news, and I was not interested in news because I didn't understand what was being said, you know, the words being used and all of that. But, growing up, being a person who's employed, being a wife, being a mother, being a person who cares about the direction of the country, I started paying attention. And instead of just looking at the news, I also now started to research for myself to understand, what are we voting for? What options do we have? What do the policies mean? And doing that led me to realize that actually I was very uninformed and in some instances misinformed. And if I am in the situation, surely there are other people who are in the same situation. Um, in recent years, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when I saw how a lot of young people are supporting, in particular, the EFF, that really got me worried because knowing the little that I do know about economics and policies and politics, I think we can all see that the EFF is not the best for the nation, right? And seeing that so many people really believe it, I was like, we need to help. We need to speak up. We need to educate the people because surely they're not informed. And instead of just sitting back and saying, oh, how dare they believe in what Julius is saying, let's play our part, which is what Citizen Concerned is about. As citizens, whatever we are concerned about, instead of just judging people for not knowing, instead of just judging people for voting wrong, let us then take our concern and educate them. Instead of stopping at mainstream media who say that they're independent, who say they show no fear of favor, let's really look at them and say, that looks like you are walking in fear, you're walking in favor, you're finding the truth too controversial to actually speak about. And for that reason, we take it upon ourselves as citizens to inform ourselves and to inform other citizens. And hopefully, by educating them, by the time we vote in 2026, 2029, more people will know what to look out for, what to consider before they cast their vote. So, in summary, that's what we are about as Citizen Concerned.
Is it fair to say that perhaps, and I mean this for all South Africans, black, white, that we've tended to vote, I must want to say, from the heart rather than the head? So we haven't taken it upon ourselves to inform ourselves. We've rather been aligned in certain ways. And I think it's a false narrative for politicians to think that that will always continue, because at the end of the day, what do we all want, regardless of our races? We want some form of prosperity, protection for our families, and so on. So have you found your message, which at times I think can be, how's the best way of putting this, very much to the point? It can be in terms of certain topics, which I think is good. But how have you found the acceptance thereof?
Okay. Our line is facts first, cry later, because there's so much to cry about, whether you're black, white, Indian, or colored. There's a lot that is going wrong in all South Africans' lives. There are South Africans of all races that really have things wrong. And I've offended people of all races on my channel, but at the end of the day, it is facts first, cry later. Because at the end of the day, no matter how you're offended, if you're honest enough, and that's what we've found, right? A lot of people send not so nice DMs or comments when they first interact with us, when they first engage with Citizen Concerned. But a few months later, we'll get a DM that says, actually, I didn't like what you said. I was offended. I was caught up in my feelings. But now that I listen to you objectively, or the more that I listen to you, I see that you actually care about the nation. I see that you actually were telling me the truth, and I'm now more receptive of it. And even people who are consistent followers and subscribers sometimes don't agree with what I'm saying, but at the end of the day, it is about the facts. Unfortunately, as a nation, we are a rainbow nation, a beautiful nation, but I think in the last 30 years and even before, a lot of what the politicians have done, be it the National Party or the ANC, is to cause us to focus so much on race, vote based on race, decide based on race, make arguments based on race, and that needs to stop. And that it's not just black people. We have a lot of white people who do the same, a lot of colors, a lot of Indians who do the same. And as Citizen Concerned is, let us believe again in the Rainbow Nation vision. Let us do what is best for us, not for the black people, not for the white people, not for the politicians, but for all of us as a people. And that's what we're trying. That's really what we're trying to do as Citizen Concerned.
Please tell me this. When you enter politics, who are you entering for? We need to be clear about that. When you enter politics, who are you doing it for? This is the question I found myself wondering about when I heard Mr. Herman Mashaba's interviews every time that he justified his desire to remove the DA from the Tswane leadership. But before we get into it, welcome to Citizen Concern, where we remind you to beware of the comrades. I'm Katlego and would appreciate it if you subscribed to our YouTube channel, liked and shared this video with other citizens. Politics is not about emotions. If there is any emotion, it should be the love for the people you wish to lead. It should be the love for the country above the love for your party or yourself.
I look at my kids and I've noticed a change in myself over the years where I like to think that I see color way less than ever before. It's not like the first thing that pops into mind, which perhaps was the case 15 years ago or so. And for my kids, it's not even
It's not a thing.
why you even mention that kind of thing. Our politicians keep on bringing us back to what race we are.
Yep.
And it annoys me endlessly because at the end of the day, it's this constant reminder of why we should be almost arguing with each other rather than embracing. And I'm a white male who's in his 50s, so I look at the Springboks and they're my heroes and will be for the rest of my life. But there's been an example of where just our diversity has resulted in so much success because it's been embraced. And I don't see color when I look at the Springboks. They are just the Springboks. Okay. So why do you think that is? Why are we being brought back to the race argument the whole time? And what is our responsibility, as you said, as a nation, as a people, to actually fight that and to make our own calls in that regard?
I think the main reason is that politicians have nothing else to offer. The ANC, who has been in charge for 30 years, is a party of former activists, people who are just fighting for freedom. And while we appreciate them and everyone else had fought for the freedom of Black people and for democracy in South Africa, I think it's time now to move away from activists and come to patriotic leaders, competent leaders who have a vision for South Africa, for every South African. And because they have nothing else to offer apart from freedom fighting, that's all they can give you. In recent months, and for a long time, really, we've heard them say, by them, I mean the ANC and its babies, and by its babies, I'm referring to the Ep5, the MK party, and Floyd Shivambu, whatever party he is. What they're saying is, let us unite the Black vote. Like, what does that even mean? What does that mean? Unite the Black vote for what? Against what? To fight for what? What does that mean? At the end of the day, what every South African wants is a safe environment, a quality education, freedom to do what they want to do as long as it is in line with the law, go to hospital and get the services, drive freely without being concerned about, will I be safe? Switch on your TV and know that you can switch it on, record a video and not be worried that as I'm recording this, in order to do for whatever purpose I'm recording it, the electricity might just go. We all want the same thing, right? Now, instead of us focusing on that same thing and saying, who is the best candidate to give me the safety, the education, all of what I want, let's focus rather on race. And that should be a sign, that should be a red flag for every South African to say, no, but wait, ANC, wait, EFF, wait, MK, wait, Floyd, I don't care whether you're Black or white. What I want is these things that I've listed. And it is our responsibility as citizens to pause, stop with the emotions, just pause and critically ask, as I unite the Black vote, what is it that you as a Black party are offering me? What is it that you as a Black party have done for me in the last 5, 10, 15, 30 years? Based on your track record, based on your current policies, based on what I know about you, are you really the best candidate to give me what I want? Are you the best candidate to give me an environment where I feel safe, where I want to retire, where my children will marry, be educated, find jobs, do businesses? And that's our responsibility. And I know that with the history of South Africa, it's not easy, right? It's not easy. I wasn't around during apartheid, but from the stories that everybody shares, from the videos we've seen, it's not a nice thing. But I think let us agree that it happened. It was horrible. It was horrible. I'm not condoning apartheid in any way, but let us then say, now what? Now what? Apartheid is over now. This is a new era. What do we need now? You fought for the freedom activists. Thank you very much. What do we need now? Are you the best candidate? Probably not. Who is the best candidate? Whether they're Black, white, Indian, or colored, who is the best candidate? Let us vote for that one.
Suppression can happen in so many ways and under different guises as well. So if you take, and I'm not approaching this from the impact that perhaps it has on the white person, but more the impact it has on the economy overall. So the concepts of Black economic empowerment, employment, equity all make sense in the context of the past. However, the unintended consequence is that free markets are being interrupted and growth is suffering off the back of that. So what's the consequence of that? Well, we've lower employment, more people searching for jobs, more crime within the country. And it happens that a lot of the crime, the worst, I'm involved with the gender-based violence initiative, and the stories I hear about the crime in some of the rural, not the crime, sorry, the gender-based violence, the rape and so on in some of these rural areas is horrific. And it's off the back of these kind of policies that these things are tending to happen. It's not a direct consequence, but it's a knock-on effect ultimately that these things are happening. So when it comes to BEE and employment equity, I think we've all been a bit afraid to challenge it because it will be seen as though it's a race-based argument, where I've seen people like yourselves, in fairness, a number of the other podcasts actually say, hang on a second, Joe. Why do we need these laws? Why can't we just get out there and build together? Because there's more than enough demand, okay, across the population. Let's get stuck in and make it happen together in that regard. Let's not lose talent. Let's harness that talent accordingly. So what's your views on that?
I think everyone, Black, white, Indian, and colored South Africans, need to ask themselves, who has BEE really benefited? We keep hearing that BEE is great, it's going to bring economic empowerment for the Black person, but which Black person? Because I've seen people like Cyril Ramaphosa benefit from that. I've seen people like Patrice Motsepe benefit from that. And they make it seem like their success is my success. It's not my success. You're successful. You're the millionaire. You're the billionaire. But I'm still staying in an environment that I would rather not be staying, And we need to wake up as South Africans. We need to wake up as Black South Africans to say, what really have I benefited from a BEE? I don't know if I want to say a victim of this BE thing, but I was hired in one of the companies as a manager. They called me a manager for BEE purposes, but in reality, I was a supervisor getting a supervisor's salary. But when the clients came, when the documents were being completed, I was a manager, a Black female manager. And who actually benefited? The owner of the company. So we have white people benefiting from BEE as long as they know how to manipulate it. We have Comrades benefiting from BEE as long as they know how to manipulate it. We have people like Edwin Sodi and Mamkhize, who are the tenderpreneurs, benefiting from BEE. But the ordinary South African is not benefiting. But why do they not see it? It's because they're being emotional about it. When you say, no, BEE is wrong, they automatically think, no, you don't want Black people to be rich. You don't want Black people to benefit. But which Black person has benefited? Right? Which Black person has benefited from BEE? Pause and think that. That's what I think about it.
Hi, pals. Greetings from Sammy. EBNet is proud to bring you top quality content from experts across the financial services industry in South Africa and internationally for free. Your support helps us in doing this. All we ask is that you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below, share this video with others you think will benefit from it, and give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying the content. That way you help us help you. Thank you from the team at EBNet. For more great content, please visit www.ebnet.co.za. Ciao, ciao, and bye-bye.
And if you take employment equity, I mean, I remember when I first started working, I was useless. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. So you got to learn, and you got to prove yourself, and you got to think, and then you got to make mistakes, and you got to go, ooh, that could have got me into trouble. Learn from that. If I have a look at myself 25 years ago, and I look at myself now, my ability to make decisions, the confidence with which I can think through and problem solve in certain things is all because of the experiences and the time that people invested in me and what I went through, what I got exposed to. If I had been accelerated to the levels of responsibility that perhaps I have now, 10, so call it 15, 20 years ago, I would have failed. That's the reality. So how much of this is actually set up a whole lot of very talented black people to actually not be able to deal with the responsibilities and that. And every time I look, not every time, I mustn't exaggerate. When I look at CVs these days, I see a lot of job hopping. 1 year, 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. Because it's, what next? But what has been delivered, what has been created in the meantime? And again, it comes down to look at economic growth, look at our competitiveness relative to global firms. We live in a global world. The JSE, when I first started working, had about 1,500 listed stocks. It's now just over 300 or so. Those bigger companies literally invest the capital offshore these days. Those are the markets they're going to. So we're not dealing with the local issues that the local people need us to deal with. And how long can that continue? We have to start arresting that. Now, we can all sit, and I think it's great that we are creating a political awareness that we didn't have before. We educating by having open conversation and challenging certain norms. But at the end of the day, the government and that wheel turns slowly. So we need to do that, but it turns slowly. That's the reality of it. We also need to ourselves start compensating for that. So be it through how we invest or what we look into buying locally, all of those things. There's many things that we can ultimately do in that regard. But one of the areas that I found fascinating, 2 areas that you have spoken about, and I'm not even certain how to reference the one, but the one was around unions. You've explained the role of unions in a particular way to try to create a reality of the unintended consequences. So I'll be interested to hear your views on that. And then the other one I'll come to after this. I need to think about how to word it.
Okay. So now a lot of people look at unions as their friends, right? People who are out here looking out for them. But the reality is that they're not there for you. They're there for themselves. And I know when a person is there doing, protesting to say, give Leon a salary increase, it looks like it is for the benefit of Leon. And that is what I think our education system has really done very well. It has hindered people from being critical thinkers. It has hindered people from looking at things long term. It's all about the here and now. And it's also raised people who are all about rights and not responsibilities. And for that reason, no, your company, for example, EBNet, is making a lot of money. I need to get a lot of money from it right now. Why is it that the CEO is the one that's getting the shares? Why is it that I, as an employee, as a receptionist, as a whoever, am not getting that? And that's a very flawed mindset. That's a mindset that is very good for now, but long term it's not beneficial. So what I've tried to help people understand on Citizen Concerned is, yes, you might get that salary increase from, I don't know, the manufacturer of, who can we talk about? The laptop. No, let's not take it that far. Let's say the food producers, right? you get that salary increase from SASCO. And then you're happy, you're excited about it. Yes, the union has given me a win. But at the end of the day, where do you think that manufacturer, that business, that company is going to compensate? Where do you think they're going to get that money from? They're going to get it from you again at the till. You're getting an extra 500 Rand now, but you are going to pay an extra 700 Rand at the till. So basically, you have actually lost 200 instead of getting that 500 Rand. But because we have not been taught to see the links between this action and the reaction, we don't see it in that way, which is why I have a really deep passion to go into the universities, into the schools, to educate the people on how the things really link. Yes, we're talking to the adults and everybody else is going to listen on YouTube, but we also need to go to the schools, because currently, our public education is really not doing what it needs to do in order to create citizens that think critically. And I suspect that it's intentional, because then you have voters that don't think well. You have voters that are just going to look at things emotionally, that are just going to take to the streets and bash things, mess things up, without thinking that actually that's my clinic that I'm burning, that's my child's library that I'm messing up, and that type of thing. So there's a real need to show people how things are actually linked. There's a real need to show people that, yes, you are happy that that black person, Edwin Sodi, for example, got that tender. But do you know that because he got that tender, your aunt who lives in Hammanskraal drank water that was filled with cholera and they passed away? 31 black people died in Hammanskraal because of this black person that you're celebrating to have economic empowerment. We need to start showing people the links between their lived experience and everything else that they look at as, no, that's far away from me, that's not really affecting me. Yeah.
And that's where the mainstream media is not doing a good job. They have snippets of little things, but they don't really dig in. They move on to the next thing too quickly. 100%. So it's important that you do that. The other one is, and I'm going to get the wording totally wrong here, I don't know whether it's called pop culture or rap culture or OnlyFans culture or whatever it might be, but I've got no idea what it is. But there's this culture lately of it's all about the bling, and it's how cool we are, and these guys are leading the youth that this is the way to make an income or to build a life at the end of the day. So some of the, I was supposed to say, the underpin sort of Christian values that have been built within our culture to date starting to waver. Now that's, I think, a global thing, but you've also made a point to actually start talking about that. So why is that?
It's really sad that instead of us now celebrating that man, that woman who went to school, graduated, or didn't even go to school, but started something, gained a skill, experience, and became something, started a business or got a job, honestly, without sleeping with anybody, without killing anybody, without elbowing anybody. We don't respect those people anymore. The people that we are celebrating now are, I don't know if you know her, like people like Cyan Bougie, people who celebrate the body more than the brains, people who celebrate, just get rich quick, really, instead of you working hard. And it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. And parents need to now start playing their roles. I know that we're busy. I know that we're going to work, but we really need to start playing our role. And it's not a popular thing. Your child won't be popular if you say you're not going to get a phone now. Your child won't be popular if you say you're not going to watch things that I have not vetted, that I haven't checked. But we need to start playing our role. But the problem is, as a parent, you can't play your role well if you yourself believe that a person like Gayton McKenzie and Kenny Kunene are the it. If you are voting for people who are convicted criminals to lead a country, even after they've shown you time and time again that actually I'm saying one thing, but I am here for power, which actually he has said that he's in it for power. So we need to, I think South Africans, not all, but generally, We are for the fun. We are for the Amapiano dance challenge. We are for, yeah, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. Come on. Life is too serious for us to be worrying about politics and how me following this person on Instagram is actually affecting my mind, affecting my marriage, affecting my child, and all of that. And I think there's a need, a real need to do that, especially for Christian families. You cannot be saying that you're a Christian and then you are just conforming when the Bible clearly says, do not conform to the standards of the world, but be transformed. You know the verse, right? We are in the world, but we are not of the world, and we need to start showing that. And I don't think, although it is a Christian principle, I think everybody else that respects themselves, even if they're not Christian, ought to be thinking in the same way. You know, that's what I think.
So I think the values are so important within any society, regardless of which religion you believe in. The risk that we're running at the moment is we're normalizing certain things that we just shouldn't be normalizing, and we normalize it under the heading of sort of development. That it's the generations changing, but some of it's it's not good. I mean, like we normalize the fact that we do have criminals in government, that we have gangsters involved with our politicians. Like, oh, gee, that's
move on.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, there's no accountability in that case. But the reality is accountability sits with us. So we laugh about it and we go, oh, there's no accountability. But we are the ones, not the commissions. The commissions are never going to give us accountability. We are the ones that have to take responsibility and hold these parties accountable.
100%.
That comes down to our values at the end of the day that we live by.
Yeah. You can't complain and then vote for the same guy. You know, we are seeing all of this. Like you said, the commission is happening. It's exposing a lot of people. What has been happening with Kenny Kunene and the criminals, the connection, we're seeing all of that. Now, whether he's going to be arrested or not, whether he's found guilty or not, at the end of the day, it is us, it is our responsibility to show whether we are happy with such behavior or not. And how do we do that? By casting a vote. Are we going to vote for the same people that we've been voting for? Are we going to vote for people that have shown us that they're criminals? Are we going to vote for them, or are we going to communicate to say that is not the standard, not here, not in South Africa? We deserve better, we want better, we demand better, and we're going to get better by the vote that we cast in 2026, 2029, and moving on.
And hopefully through that, we promote better policies, better execution. And you mentioned a little bit earlier to support the leader that, I can't remember the exact words you use, but the leader that espouses what we are looking for. Do you see that leader in your mind at the moment, or do you see that this still needs to be unearthed at some point?
I think at this stage, the caliber and level of our political parties is horrible. It's awful. It's really poor. Criminals in politics, known gangs in politics, that's rubbish, and I think there is room for a new party. I don't know where it will come from. I don't know who will be part of it, but I think that there's something missing. Of all of the ones that are there, we need something extra that we don't have right now. But the fact is, when we look at the ones that are available, poorer level, poorer caliber as they may be, there are those that are better than others. And I know I've been said I'm a puppet for saying this, but the DA has proven to us, it has proven to the Auditor General that they are running municipalities better than other parties. The ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa, came out himself, and he has finally admitted the fact that the DA is doing a better job than others. Right? And like now, we've had a lot of back and forth regarding should Helen Zille be the mayor of Johannesburg. I mean, if you drive around Johannesburg and you tell me that you don't want to give a chance to a person that has led municipalities better than anybody else, if you don't want to give them a chance in Johannesburg, I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want.
So maybe it's not always all about finding the person that completely matches what we want, but it's also about the lesser of two evils. And in this case, we are sitting with at least one party that has some kind of a track record of delivery. I mean, I find Helen Zille just quite honestly strange. I mean, she's just a strange person. But there is a track record there, and Johannesburg sorely needs, some form of change right now to try to get us back on track.
Yeah, we need it. And we need to look past and move past the fear of, but if I vote DA, I've never voted DA. I voted ACDP 1 year. I voted Action SA last year, and the other year I didn't vote. I've never voted DA. But the fact is, we need to stop this thing of being scared to say, if I say DA, then they're going to say I'm a DA puppet. Stop that. Just stop that. Go for what works. Stop going for what will work in the minds and the emotions of people, and just tell the truth. Like, we need to stop this thing of tiptoeing around the truth. The facts are the facts. And yes, we're going to hear the story of, but if you look at Khayelitsha versus the Lani places of Cape Town, they're not doing a good job in the black areas. But what about Sanson and Alexandra? What about that? What about those many examples in the rest of South Africa? We don't want to look at that. We need to stop being racist. The blacks, whites, Indians, and colors, we need to stop being racist and start being selfish to the point of saying, I don't care what race you are, I just want what's best for me and my children. That's what we need right now. Yeah.
So I'm going to thank you for being a voice out there, because I think it's critically important. Also, being that voice, you spoke about going to universities and schools. It comes at a risk. We've just seen what's happened with Charlie Kirk in the States. I understand what the Americans are and what happened. Yeah, but we have had political assassinations. So the role that you are fulfilling is one. So thank you for that, and I think it's sorely needed. But just to simply make us more aware, make us better educated, and ultimately give us a fairer chance as a country, because this is an incredible country.
It is.
We could achieve incredible things. Is not taking us there, and the evidence is quite clear. So, Katlego, thank you so much for that. Thank you for joining us today. I would like you to please do me the honor of finishing off today with the catchphrase, if we could call it that you end off all your podcasts with, because I've been looking forward to this moment since we.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to your people. And we need to rise. We need to come together and do what we need to do. And ultimately, we need to beware of the comrades.
There we go. Beware of the comrades. Katlego, thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend further, and we will chat again.
Thank you so much.
Cheers then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.